right, so I'm just going to invite us all to come to a comfortable seat on your mat or towel, whatever you have for you. And just begin to, I like to shake side to side and maybe even move a little bit of my flesh so that I feel like my sitting bones are really rooting deep into the mat. And already creating that foundation by rooting down with the sitting bones, feeling the base of my legs, my ankles, my shins against the earth. And from there, getting a little bit of wakefulness within the spine, moving the crown of the head towards the sky, while inviting some ease in as well. So letting the tops of the shoulders soften, letting the jaw go slack, and perhaps letting your eyes close to begin. If that isn't comfortable for you, maybe just taking a soft downward gaze. And allowing ourselves to begin to fully arrive in this seat, to arrive in this moment, letting whatever it took to get you here go, setting aside your to-do lists, worries, plans, just setting them aside for now as best as you can. And beginning to set that radio dial to you. Beginning to turn the awareness inward. Maybe this looks and feels a little like checking in with yourself, like you would reach out to a friend and just wanting to know how they were doing. So just a little mindful check-in. How are you right now? Just giving some space for whatever arises. And then beginning to notice how the quality of your breath is. And now beginning to lengthen the inhale and the exhale. Taking a little bit more fuller, intentional breaths. As you breathe in, feeling the abdomen, the belly just expand, perhaps a natural lift of the chest. As you exhale, keeping that length of the spine, but feeling some heaviness within the sitting bones, within the legs. 3 to 4 second inhale. 3 to 4 second exhale. Breathing for a few more moments just like that. Tuning in to your breath, to this moment, to yourself. And if it would feel all right for you, I'll invite you to bring your hands in front of heart center and press palm against palm and even lift your heart up towards your thumbs, getting, as a teacher used to say to me, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So that wakeful seat. And just throw a question out, maybe to help set an intention for your practice, is what qualities would you like to tune in, would like to embrace more of as we move through this yoga practice together? Knowing that what we practice on the mat plants a seed for our life beyond the mat. So any qualities you'd like to see embraced fuller in your life, For many of us, self-kindness can always be a good one. Patience, focus, peace. And along with tuning in to ourselves and the music we bring to life, perhaps allowing whatever came up for you to also be an intention for the direction that your practice takes you tonight. And I'll invite you to bow your head towards your heart, sealing that intention in. And then gently releasing your hands down onto your knees. And then inhale, lifting the chin so it's parallel to the ground. Exhale, softening the shoulders and opening your eyes if they're closed. If you have an ujjayi breathing practice or victorious breath already in your practice, I'll want you to bring that in now. If you're like, what is that? Just coming into a little bit of a deeper breath where you're breathing in and out through your nose. 3 to 4 second inhale, 3 to 4 second exhale, and letting that continue with you as we move through these postures. And so just waking up our neck to begin with, I invite you to place your hands down beside you and just begin to walk your right fingertips out long. And then let your left ear fall towards your left shoulder and letting that right shoulder drop away until you feel some length and space between the bones and the outer right side of your neck. Maybe even lift those right fingertips off the floor and just stretch your arm around you, letting the left side of your sitting bones remain heavy. Taking a deep breath in, inhaling, and exhaling. Then inhaling the chin back up through center. I invite you to press it down now through the left hand against the ground and inhale the right arm up and over. Just looking up underneath that right armpit, letting the right shoulder draw back, pressing away the earth with the left hand, feeling the right sitting bone root down as much as the left. Taking a deep breath in. And as you exhale, feel like you're carving out the air in front of you. Arch the spine, draw your right hand towards the right knee, just floating it. And then inhale, draw that arm back up and over. We're gonna do that 2 more times. Exhale to reach and stretch. Lingering any juicy spot that feels good for you. Inhale to draw that arm back up. And exhale to carve out that air. And draw your arm up and over, this time pausing, getting a little bit more space in the right side of your body. And then inhale, pressing the earth away with you with your left hand, drawing the left arm up to the sky. Exhale, softening the shoulders while really engaging through your biceps, hugging your arms towards your ears. Inhale, drawing the sitting bones, the pelvis down to extend out through the crown of your head. Exhale, soften where you can. And then exhale, turn your palms out towards the walls next to you. And like you're pressing the walls away, begin to slowly lower your arms, pausing at shoulder height, pressing through the palms, feeling some wake up underneath the arms. Easy rise and fall of your breath. And then exhale, let gravity help your arms come all the way back down to the ground. Beautiful. And then beginning to walk those left fingertips out long. And then letting the right shoulder, the left shoulder both be soft as you drop the right ear towards the right shoulder. And begin to stretch those left fingertips out away from you, feeling some traction on the left side of your neck. Breathing in and breathing out. One more breath. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale to float the chin back up through center, drawing that right hand against the earth. Now, inhale, flip the left palm to the sky as you reach the left arm up and over, pressing the earth away with you with your right hand, reaching the left palm towards the opposite wall, and then turning the palm like you're turning a doorknob so the shoulder draws more into its socket. Inhale. And as you exhale, carve that space out in front of you once again. Inhale to sweep that arm up and over, just letting yourself again linger in any sweet spots. Exhale to carve. Inhale to sweep. Exhale, last time here. And inhale, sweep the arm up and over. Pause here, really getting into the juiciness of the side stretch. So the left side of your ribs will feel like it's getting smaller, condensing. And the right side and the left side will feel expansive, like there's space coming into each and every rib. Taking one more breath here. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale, float the right arm to meet the left. Again, letting the shoulders soften while extending through the arms. Nice. Taking one more breath here, inhaling. And as you exhale, turning the palms out, again, pressing those walls away from you, pausing shoulder height just to feel the muscles that support your underarms begin to fire up a little bit. And then exhale, let gravity help you all the way down. Inhale, get length through the spine, and exhale, begin to walk your hands. Maybe they just come to your knees and you pause right here. Maybe they come to the floor and you can lead with the heart. So what I want you to avoid is to arch around the heart just to get your head lower. But imagine your spine getting longer, coming from the base of the tailbone, reaching out through the crown of the neck. And so that there's one line of energy from the lower back all the way out through the crown of the head. And then we lead with the heart. And we breathe and let the breath help evolve this shape for us. Listening in, tuning in. And letting ourselves soften towards the ground, pausing and stopping whenever is a place that you can just pause and work with sensation. Letting the chin gently drop so the back of the neck is long. And as we lead with the heart, imagine leading with your heart in all that you do, in all your interactions, throughout the rest of this yoga practice. And inhale, slowly walk the hands up and in. Invite you to uncross the legs, shake them out, and then reach one hand under one knee crease, the other under the other, and draw the heart up towards the knees, flexing the feet. Again, letting the neck be long with the spine, hugging the knees towards one another, feeling some warm up in the core. Option, and it's only an option, to extend the arms, coming into boat pose. Breathing. And in challenging poses, if this is challenging for you, you can always add an element that can bring some lightness to it, which is letting the corners of your mouth go up, called smile asana. One more breath, inhale. And exhale, slowly lower the feet to the ground, bringing them hip distance apart. Bringing your palms wider than your hips, about 6 inches behind your hips. Feet are parallel. And inhale, press through the hands to begin to lift the heart, coming into a little heart opener here, feeling the shoulder blades come on your back. The chin gently lifts but without dropping the back of the neck. Option to stay right here and just work on lifting the heart. Option to lift the hips to come into reverse tabletop. If you're in reverse tabletop, the hips lift, the shins move away from you. The back of the neck is still long. The shoulder blades coming towards one another. And then if your hips are on the ground, I want you to stay there. If you're in tabletop with me, I invite you to play by drawing the hips back between your hands and seeing if you can keep them lifted off the mat. Getting a little bit of levitation. Again, coming into that smile asana if this is hard. And then inhale back up to reverse table. Just a little fun. Notice if there's any judgment, let it go if there is. And then slowly lower the hips down. Cross your ankles. And invite everyone to roll over onto hands and feet into tabletop. So as we set up for tabletop, I invite you to place your knees underneath your hips, your shoulders, your wrists underneath your shoulders, and just come into a neutral spine. I like to have my toes tucked under for a little bit more stability. Some people like to have them flat. If they're flat on the ground, make sure there's still some energy of your ankles hugging towards one another. From here, just noticing what's happening with your neck. It might be looking up because you're trying to watch me, but once you have the shape, let the chin drop so the back of the neck, again, is nice long line of energy with the spine. From here, find a little draw up of the low belly just to support the low back. And then just begin to draw the right foot out, letting those right toes stand on the mat. And then walk the left fingertips out long. And then from here, feel a pull towards the midline so that right hip draws into the socket, the right shoulder draws into the socket. So it feels like everything's beginning to hug in towards the core. Then option to stay right here, or you might play with floating the right leg, the left arm, and extending through both sides. But as much as we're extending, there's still this draw, this hug towards the midline, and that's going to give you some stability. Back of the neck is long, breath is present. Easy rise and fall of the inhale. Easy rise and fall of the exhale. Another option is to stay here, or you might bend your knee, reach the sole of the foot up towards the sky, and then swing your left arm back. Now here, you might have a lot of space between your foot and your hand, and you're just going to work those two pieces towards one another. It's okay if they don't touch. If you have a little bit more space and you can grab your foot or your ankle, I'll invite you to do that, and then begin to press foot into hand, hand back into foot, and begin to come into this quad opener, breathing, staying present, tuning in. Again, being your best teacher here. If this is too much, you can come out. One more breath, inhale. And as you exhale, we'll all meet back in this extension. And then drawing the left hand down. If your back foot is still on the ground, I'm going to invite you just to float it for a couple of moments. And to play with taking a little bit of flight, so drawing the high hands down, tucking the left toes, and beginning to press back up into three-legged downward facing dog, feeling a nice big stretch in that left leg, getting extension rather than height out of the right foot. Shoulders are square, hips are square. So I'd rather you go lower with the leg to keep that right hip is square with the left rather than hiking it up. Taking one more breath, letting the neck be long, gaze is looking at those left toes. And exhale, drawing the right foot next to the left. And now pushing back into a little bit more of a fuller downward facing dog. Option to bring knees to the ground whenever you need. And as we come into downward facing dog, heels are reaching towards the ground. Armpits are lifting away from the ground and biceps are hugging in towards the ears. Gaze is looking between your ankles or your shins. Hands are still shoulder distance apart and fingers are spread out, pressing particularly with the index and the thumb. Breathing in and breathing out. Then inhale to look forward, bending your knees, and begin to tiptoe your way up to the front of the mat, coming into a really passive forward fold. So knees are bent quite deeply. Hands are just might be turning palms face up on the ground, or you might even be floating them in ragdoll. But something that allows your torso to feel like it's water falling over your hips. Feeling perhaps the movement of breath in your belly against the top of your legs. And then from here, placing your hands on your shins or the mat, and inhale, rising up, halfway lift. Drawing the shoulders away from the ears. Gaze is looking down, chin is drawing in. The tailbone shooting out behind you as your inner thighs hug towards one another. Getting length in the spine and keeping all that length. Begin to re-enter this fold, again leading with the heart. Knees can bend a lot or a little once again. Hands can rest wherever is most comfortable. Crown of the head reaches towards the ground. Hips reach towards the sky. And then slowly bend the knees a little deeper. And inhale, reverse roll yourself all the way up, coming up lastly with your head. Rolling the shoulders up, back, and down. Opening palms. Beautiful. And inhale, sweep the arms to the sky. Exhale, follow your hands down through heart center. Forward fold once again. Inhale, sweep up halfway. Exhale, fold, placing hands on the ground. Stepping back to a top of a push-up, drawing the knees to the ground. Wrists underneath shoulders, low belly drawing in. Back of the neck long. And then slowly, just notice the shape of the body. The head is slightly higher than the shoulders. The shoulders are higher than the hips. The hips are higher than the heels. And keeping that nice long line, begin to bend your elbows, keeping them close to the ribs, and let yourself all the way down onto your belly. Point your toes, hug your ankles, fire up your legs, and inhale, curl your chest forward into cobra. And in this cobra, if you imagine a snake, they're not stiff, they can be up and being able to swivel from side to side. So feeling that sense of movement and flow within your back. So your arms are doing less of the work and the muscles behind your heart are lifting you up. Inhale. And exhale to lower down. Tuck your toes, pressing back into tabletop. And I just want to pause here, because I just want to come into child's pose, because let's come into child's pose before we go farther. So just bringing big toes together, knees out wide, hips towards your heels, forehead on the ground or on a little pillow you make with your hands. And just taking a few moments to tune in here. I always like to introduce child's pose because this is such a great pose if you're laboring with your breath, if you are tuning in and seeing that a rest would be beneficial. This pose that you're in right now is always available. You just need to give yourself permission to do it, which is so hard at times. So I'm just giving you permission right now to do it. And then as we move on, know you can always come into this if it's needed. So when it's ready for you, I'll invite you to come up out of child's, come back into tabletop, Doing that systems check, the knees underneath hips, wrists underneath shoulders, neutral spine, back of the neck is long. Little hug in of the low belly just to support the core. And then beginning to draw the left toes back, right fingers forward, pausing here. And noticing if you're getting ahead of yourself, wanting to go to the next part because you now kind of know what's coming. But seeing if you just stay and keep tuning in because this side might be very different. Hugging the left hip into the socket, the right shoulder. Option to just stay here and breathe and work on everything hugging towards the midline. Level 2, you float the left foot, the right hand, still hugging everything into the midline. That left hip draws in, the right shoulder, but extending still through the fingertips, through that foot. Back of the neck is long, the jaw slightly draws in. Breathing in, tuning in. Option, it's only an option, to bend that left knee, draw the knee up, and to turn the right palm first down and then sweep it behind you, yearning for that foot. It might make contact, it might not. Wherever you are is completely fine. Don't pass your edge. If you do make contact, you begin to press the foot into the hand back into the foot, almost feeling a shoulder opener in that right shoulder. Letting the breath, again, be a barometer for you. Can you still breathe? Is it smooth? And then as you're ready, gracefully release that back foot, swinging the right hand forward if it's not already. And then we'll all meet with our right hand on the mat, our left foot lifted, right toes tucked under, and inhale, using that strength. Inhale, sweep up, three-legged downward facing dog. Squaring off the hips, squaring off the shoulders. Really nice big release for that outer hip. Again, going more for length with that left heel rather than height. I don't want that left hip to pop up. So squaring off those hips, lifting the shoulders but melting the heart, dropping the head. One more breath here, inhale. And as you exhale, let that left foot find the earth next to the right, pressing back into two-legged downward facing dog. Feeling the hips rise towards the ceiling, feeling the heels draw towards the ground, feeling the armpits lift away from the ground and hug the biceps towards your ears as the head and heart drop. Fingers are spread. Breath is present. 3 to 4 second inhale. 3 to 4 second exhale. And inhale, bend your knees, look forward. And again, tiptoe your feet all the way to the front of the mat, coming into a forward fold once again. Inhale, sweep up halfway. Exhale and fold. This time I'll invite you to inhale, bend your knees like you're sitting in a low chair. Yeah. Feet can be touching or hip distance apart. And then from here, inhale, draw your arms back, palms face down. Feel the weight come into your heels, maybe even lift and spread your toes. Lift the lower belly off the top of the legs. Again, just notice what's happening in the neck. From here, inhale, arms forward. Exhale, arms back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. Inhale, forward. And exhale, press the air away from down to stand tall. Inhale, sweep your arms to the sky. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, sweep up halfway. Exhale, fold, placing hands down, stepping back along. Once again, knees on the ground, or if you want, you're also welcome to leave the knees off the ground, coming into high plank. We will pause here again once though, so choose what would best serve you. And again, finding that shape where the head is slightly above the heart is slightly above the hips are above the heels. And that could be with knees lifted or knees down. And then gentle draw in of the low belly, gentle melting of the heart. Easy rise and fall of your breath. And then very slowly, hinge slightly forward, bend your elbows, keeping them close to your ribs, and lower slowly down to the ground. Point your feet. I'm going to invite you to press the tops of the feet into the mat, hug the ankles in. This time bring your arms, tent them off your mat, and inhale the shoulders up and away, coming into this wider, almost like a hooded cobra. If you can imagine, I'll come this way. And as you rise up, again, the arms aren't doing the work, but the back muscles are. And see if you can feel that suppleness like a cobra. Breathing in. And as you breathe out, slowly lowering the chest to the ground, drawing your hands back underneath your shoulders, tucking your toes, pressing back onto hands and knees, and either meeting in child's pose or downward facing dog. We'll be here for 3 breaths. So let yourself tune in to what would best serve you. What does your body need? What does your heart need? And try to get out of the thinking mind and into the heart. What do you really need? One more breath here. Inhale. And exhale. And then from here again, bend your knees, look forward, and walk your feet up to the front of the mat. Inhale, sweeping up halfway. Exhale and folding. And inhale, stepping your left foot back long, right foot forward, coming into a low lunge. This is a really nice spot if you do have yoga blocks or books, something to lift you up a little higher that could be really nice. You can also even just put your hands on your front knee if that would be helpful. But wherever you are, really lifting that back leg, that back left inner thigh, drawing the right hip slightly back, left hip forward, finding a flavor of cobra in your chest here. Getting length, inhale. And as you exhale, let that left knee draw to the ground. And inhale, hands to your hips, coming up into Anjali Asana. From here, let the tailbone scoop down. Scoop the low belly in, then begin to come into the little bit of a quad opener by bending more deeply into that front knee. And then inhale, sweeping your arms up to the sky. Just like we were in that seated posture, the arms are hugging towards the ears, but the shoulders are soft. Back of the neck is long. Nice. Breath is fluid. Taking one more breath here. Inhale. And exhale. And then I'm going to everyone to begin to turn their chest. I'm going to come this way. Towards the right. And that right hip is drawing back, left hip drawing forward. And then from here, let the right arm reach back, the left arm reach forward. And begin to extend the arms in opposite directions. So twisting a little bit more independently of the shoulders rather than letting the core, the low belly begin to do the twist for you. If it's okay on your neck, your gaze can look at that back hand. It can also look forward or right in front of you, or it can even look forward if that'd be better on your neck. Taking one more breath. Inhale, getting length through the spine. Exhale, bending into that front knee. And then exhale, just dropping the left hand to the mat. Right arm up and over. Option to fire up that back leg. Lift that back leg as we come into this reverse twist. Feeling the right hip draw back, the left hip forward. The pelvis is flat towards the sky. Arms are stacked. Taking one more breath, inhale. And as you exhale, let that back knee come to the ground if it's lifted. The right hand on this right knee. And begin to just lift the right toes off the ground and place them on an angle. And then beginning to press your chest away from you by pressing your right hand into your right knee. Drawing that right hip back. That might sweeten up the release in the hip here. Option to lift the right arm once again and to draw that right arm back. One more option, it's only an option, is you might bend that back foot like we did in that opening tabletop pose. You might not make contact, you just might reach towards that direction, or your hand might reach your foot, and you draw your hips back towards your heel, and then let them both descend towards one another while reaching the heart up and over. Only an option, right? If this is too much, tuning in, right? Listening to the body. If it's too much static, if you're holding your breath, if it's pain, we simply let go, right? One more breath wherever you are. Inhale. And if you have that foot, just slowly letting it go, letting the top arm come up and over back to the knee if it's left. And beginning to unwind the twist, looking forward, letting that right foot re-square off, and then placing the right hand on the inside of the right foot. Placing the left hand underneath the left shoulder, and then hugging that right knee in, like you're hugging your arm. Lots of stuff happens in our hips. If you want to deepen this stretch, you're welcome to lift your back leg. For me, I'm simply letting the knee land on the floor. There's a ton of sensation to work here. There's a ton to tune into, and there's a nice reason to want to tune out or to curse me. Get me out of this if your hips are really talking to you. So just noticing what's happening. Taking one more breath, inhale, and exhale. And then taking your right hand, inhale, drawing it forward. Exhale, placing it on the outside of your right foot, lifting up through the hips and drawing the right foot back into downward facing dog. And it might feel nice for some to just release that hip by lifting that foot into the sky and twirling the ankle, bending the knee. For others, it might feel nice just to come into child's pose and take a few moments of breath between sides. And 1 to 2 breaths, or as you're ready, we'll meet back into downward facing dog wherever you are. Allow yourself to settle, to breathe. And then I'll invite you to bend your knees, look forward, and make your way up to the front of the mat once again. Inhale, sweeping up, halfway lift. Exhale and folding. Inhale, this time stepping your right foot back long. Notice what's going on in that leg after we spent a lot of time on that side. Notice what it feels like on this side already. Maybe you need to come up a little higher. Maybe you need to let that back knee drop a little sooner. All perfectly fine. Wherever you are, feeling that left hip draw back, the right hip forward, the shoulders drawing back, even getting that little flavor of cobra in your chest. Really lifting the back right thigh if your knee is lifted. Taking one more breath here. Inhale. And as you exhale, slowly lower that back knee. And inhale, draw your hips back, hands to your hips. And just feel the tailbone drawing down, the low belly drawing in. And then begin to re-bend into that front knee into Anjaliasana. Right hip draws back, left hip draws forward. Let the arms soften here. And then inhale, slowly drawing them up. Letting the shoulders soften. And if your shoulders are really tight, the wider you bring the arms, or even bending your elbows, gives you a little bit more space. And so that's the clarity that we can get from tuning in. We listen to our body. We don't push past the edge. One more breath here. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, begin to turn towards the left. And let the left arm reach towards the back. Right arm reach forward. Stretch in opposing directions. Still bending into that front knee. Still drawing that left hip back, right hip forward. Softening. And of course, we're still breathing. And checking in. Notice what's happening to that back ankle. Is it flailing out? See if you can hug it in. That might give you a little bit more stability. And then from here, reaching out long with the right fingertips. Finding the ground with that right hand. Reaching the left arm up. Option to fire up that back leg. And lift that knee as we reverse this lunging twist. If this is too much, we drop the back knee down. We can even let the right hand or the left hand come to the hip. All of that works. Taking one more breath here. Inhale. And as you exhale, let your back knee lower. If it's lifted, the left hand come to your knee. The left hand come to your toes and point them out so your toes are pointing to the top corner of the mat. You might come onto your fingertips on the right hand and place your left hand on your left knee and just begin to open the chest. Opening the hip. Again, this might be a ton of sensation. So you just pause, you breathe, you modify where you need. If you have the space and would like a little bit of a stretch in the back quad, then you can begin to play with taking the left arm up and back. And maybe you just lift the right foot and they just yearn, they reach towards one another. And you celebrate, right? Maybe get a little bit closer. Maybe you make contact. Maybe you do. And you just press the foot against the hand against the foot, and begin to find cobra in your chest. Reaching that heel towards the hips if you have it in your hand. Taking one more breath here. Inhale. And as you exhale, gently release that back foot if you've had it in your hand. And just reverse your way out, drawing that left arm up and over on the inside of your left foot. And then re-square off that left foot. Coming into lizard here, so hugging the left knee into the left arm. Option to fire up that back leg. Option to let that back knee lift to stay down. And modifying whatever you need in this moment. And as you're ready, inhale the left arm forward to get length. Exhale, draw it on the outside of your left foot. Lift your left knee up and drop right knee up. I'm getting my left and rights mixed up tonight. And inhale, maybe lift that left leg to the sky and let that lactic acid that built up just drain down your leg. Move it, wiggle it, shake it in any way that you want. And slowly as you exhale, let the left foot come down. And then we'll all meet in child's pose. I'll invite you to roll over onto your knees. Let your knees open wide, big toes towards touching. Let the hips come towards the heels. Forehead can find the ground, or you might even make a little pillow with your hands. If the forehead touches the ground, it might feel nice to let your arms come down by your side and let your palms face up to the ceiling. And slowly bring your hands to frame your cheeks. I invite you to press yourself up. Draw your knees towards one another and swing your feet out in front of you. And I like to, again, draw the little bit of flesh back so I feel high on my sitting bones. I'm just coming into staff pose, so drawing your feet out and really engaging the back of your legs, like you're velcroing the back of your legs to the ground. And then getting nice and tall and long through the spine. Hands come next to your hips. Shoulders draw back. Chest goes forward. Jaw gently drops. The chin gently draws down to lengthen the back of the neck. Low belly gently draws in to help support the spine. And from here, inhale, arms up. And exhale, begin to come into a forward fold. Again, leading with the heart. So you might go a millimeter before this wants to happen. So you're just going to pause there and let the heart again lead the way. Legs are engaged. Breath is helping you come into this pose. Inhaling length and patience. As you exhale, letting your arms drop wherever they will. Floor, next to your thighs, knees, ankles. For some, you might come all the way down towards your feet. Again, not striving, but allowing ourselves to arrive in our own time, in our own way, knowing there is no right or perfect way. Inhale, just feel the spine lengthen. As you exhale, you may soften towards your extended legs. You might not even notice that part, but let that softening happen millimeter by millimeter. And on your next inhale, slowly rise up. And then exhale, bend your knees. Bring your fingers underneath your kneecaps and just begin to draw yourself down, but holding your weight of your torso with your legs, letting the chin drop and feeling the shoulders stretch away from one another. And then inhale yourself back up. Exhale to release your hands forward and slowly roll yourself down. Placing the soles of your feet on the mat, hip distance apart. Placing your palms down by your hips and just doing a gentle moving bridge. I want you to press against your feet. Inhale, lift your arms, lift your hips. Arms and hands fall over your head. And then exhale, hips and arms and hands down. One more time, just like that. Inhale, just sweep up and over. And slowly exhale, one vertebrae, letting the arm down at a time, letting the arms and hands rest. And I'd like to inhale, hugging your knees into your chest and let yourself rock around on your sacrum a few times. And then opening your arms and releasing your knees and letting the knees fall towards the left. Right shoulder drawing heavy into the earth. Maybe even turning your chin towards your right hand. And slowly inhale everything to center, the knees. And then let the knees fall towards the opposite direction. Your gaze look out over the other shoulder. Slowing everything down. Last time, bringing everything to center. And hug your knees in and maybe even lift your forehead towards your knees, making yourself small like a seed. And then slowly begin to extend your left leg, your right leg, the back of your neck and head, and your right arm by your side, your left arm by your side. Letting your eyes close if that would feel okay. As we come into what many believe is the most important part of a yoga practice, Shavasana. The time where we let go and we rest. So as best as you can, let it all go. Let your body be held. Let your breath be easy. And just let be. If you have the time, this is one of the nice things about a Zoom class, to just stay in Shavasana for several minutes longer, then I'll invite you to stay. Otherwise, if you don't have the time right now, I'll invite you to slowly begin to bring some movement back into your body. stretch and move in whatever way that would feel good. And begin to draw your knees into your chest. And then to comfortably make your way up to a comfortable seated position. Maybe that's rolling right up or coming to one side first. I'll invite you once again to bring your hands in front of your heart center. To reflect a moment on your intention. That intention of tuning in and whatever else that came to you. Perhaps notice how it played out or maybe how it didn't play out. There's a lot to learn from seeing both sides. And perhaps recommitting to that intention as you walk off the mat, and maybe perhaps seeing yourself with whatever qualities you want to bring forward in your life, knowing that you can choose to bring them forth by tuning in. From my heart to yours, thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I hope to see